Okay, YouTube, this is my third video on writing the equations of lines, which we're just going to do a quick example of how we can write the equation of a line, either using slope-intercept form or slope and a point using point-slope form here. So we say the graph shows the remaining balance y on a car loan after making X monthly payments. So you can see that this is going down in a linear fashion. That is, probably every month you're making the same payment. Okay, so this is write an equation of the line and interpret the slope and y-intercept and what is the remaining balance after 36 payments. So all of this right here, we can actually determine if we just had the equation of this line. So in order to write the equation of the line, step one is always find the slope. So we're going to find the slope of this line. Now remembering that our slope formula is change in y over change in x. This means that either we're going to have to count rise over run, or we're going to need 2 points on this line. And it seems to me that we do have 2 points on this line. So we'll say that this is our x2, y2 is this point down here, and this is our x1, y1 up here, x1, y1. So we would say y2 minus y1 would really be 15 minus 18. So we say 15 minus 18, then x2 minus x1 would be 10 minus 0. So 10 minus 0. So in this instance, we get negative 3 over 10, or in other words, negative 0.3, negative 3/10, and we could write it this way. So this is the slope of our line, and it's going down in 0.3 of these thousands of dollars every month, and that's how we can interpret this. So slope, if we said what did the slope represent here, the slope is how the balance is changing over time. Because really what we're saying is it's changing by 0.3 of $1,000, since this is in $1,000, or in other words $300 for every 1 month after we reduce this. Or you could look at it this way, we say it goes down $3,000 every 10 months, okay? Either way you look at it, we have the slope of this line. So since I have that now, we want to write the equation. The second thing we want to do is this. Use a point, or preferably the y-intercept. In this instance, we actually know the y-intercept of this line. Looking at the graph here, I noticed that the y-intercept hits at 18. So we could say that in terms of y equals mx plus b, which is our slope-intercept form, I'll write this again here, y equals mx plus b, all we need is the slope which we found in the y-intercept. In this case, our y-intercept is equal to 18. So now that we have both of these things, we're just going to go ahead and write the equation. Write the equation. That's the process. So writing the equation is as simple as we're going to go ahead and fill in our knowns here. And we know that the slope is negative 0.3. And we know that our y-intercept is 18. What this does is it represents how our balance is changing as the number of, looks like months in terms of payments is changing if you're making a payment every month. So using this final equation here, let's go ahead and use that, as a matter of fact, to talk about the remaining balance after 36 payments. So before I answer that, very quickly here, I do want to interpret this. We say, well, what's the significance of the y-intercept here? You know, what would that represent? And, you know, the y-intercept, recall, occurs at 0 here, when x is 0. So basically what we're saying is, well, how many payments have you made? Well, none. So if you haven't made any payments, when was this in your car loan? It was right at the beginning. So if I'm going to interpret the y-intercept, we say the y-intercept shows us the initial loan amount. And that's kind of an important thing. It always shows an initial amount. So basically the y-intercept says you're starting here, and the slope says you're changing by this every, say, input value, okay? So using our equation, the question was, what is the remaining balance after 36 payments? Now, pointing one last thing out is this. If we're looking for remaining balance, balance is our y variable. So we're really saying y equals what if 36 payments exist, and really we're given an x value here. So we're going to go substitute this into our equation here. If our equation is negative 3/10 x plus 18, let's go ahead and pull this substitution. We get negative 0.3 blank plus 18, where we're putting in 36. So we'll get our calculators out here and we'll say, okay, well, let's take 36 times 0.3, and it's a negative 0.3. So we get negative 10.8, so we get y equals negative 10.8 plus 18, and when we add those together, well, 10 away from 18 would be 8. Take away another 8/10, we would have 7.2. And so we're going to say 1,000 And that's how we should label it. Okay, so that after 36 months would be the remaining amount on our loan, and I think we can see this on the graph up here just to see if our answer is reasonable. 35 is right here, so 36 would just be beyond that. And if we trace this up and we trace this over, you know, here's 6, here's 12, this would be 9 in between. If I said, okay, right there is 7.2, I think that's entirely reasonable. So again, write the equation of a line, find the slope, use the y-intercept if you have it, write the equation, and then use that equation to make predictions. Cheers.